Yo! What's good, everybody? In this video, we're going to be going over the basics of arrays in Go. So without further ado, let's go! Let's go! Let's imagine a scenario where we're working with numbers in our code. So let's say we want to store 5 values in different variables. Of course, we'll just do the simple method of declaring a variable for each of those values, right? Now imagine if that number increased from 5 to 100 or more. We really want to declare 100 different variables for each of that single value? No. This is where the array would come in and save the day for us. An array is a simple data structure that can store a collection of elements of the same data type. While an array is used to store a collection of data, it's easier to think of an array as a collection of variables of the same data type. Now that we have the gist of what arrays are, let's talk about how to declare and initialize arrays in Golang. In Go, just like when you're declaring variables, there are 2 different ways that you can declare an array. One is by using the var keyword. 2 is by using the $:. Alright, let's go over some code examples of declaring and initializing arrays in Go. So like I said earlier, there are 2 different methods that you can use to declare an array, similar to declaring a variable. You can use the var keyword, or you can use the $:, which we're doing right here. So the thing with arrays is you have to declare not only the type, but you also have to declare or specify a length in some cases. So let's go down to the code and look at this example. So you can see here, for array 1, we're declaring it using the var keyword, gave it a name, and we're saying it's going to have a length of 3, and it's only going to be able to hold ints. And you can see here, curly braces, we have the three numbers that we're going to hold. Again, you can only add in the same type in this array. So if I try to attempt to add in a string or a boolean, let's say we put in false, we're going to get an error saying, hey, you cannot do this, only ints are allowed in here. Same thing for these. So in this case, the length will be inferred. So instead of me saying, hey, this length is going to be of 2, I'm just going to put these 3 dots in here and add in however many values I want and let the length be inferred, so I don't have to sit here and hard code it. The second example is using the $:, the same way that we did with the variable. So like we did earlier, you have to have the value present when you're using the $: to declare a variable. You cannot declare it later on in the code. So here we're saying the same thing. We're giving it an array length of 3 of type int, and we're declaring our values inside of here. And the same thing with the inferred length. The only difference is we're not specifying with the number. We're giving it 3 dots to say, hey, we want you to infer the length here, so we can just add however many we want to right here. Right now you're probably wondering, well dang, Cam, alright, now I know how to make an array. How do I get my values from the array? Well, we're about to talk about that real quick. The way that you can access array elements is by referring to the index number. So for example, let's say we have an array with 2 elements, 1 and 2, and we want to reference the number 1, which is the first element in the array. You would think that we would access it by, of course, using the array name and using index 1. However, we would be wrong in this scenario. In Go, the index starts at 0. So that means if we would have used 1 trying to reference the first number in the array, we'll actually get the second number since the index starts at 0. That's pretty cool though, right? Alright, back in the code, let's look at a quick example of accessing an array of elements. So like I said before, you can access your specific array value or element by using the index. And remember what we just talked about. The index starts at 0. So in this case, if I wanted to access the number 10, for example, I wouldn't use 1, I would use 0 like I've done here. So it's really simple to access array elements. You just use the array name and you put 2 square braces with the position that you're looking to get. In my case, array position 1 would actually be 100 and position 0 would be 10. Not too hard, right? Let's say you wanted to update a specific element in the array with the new value. Well, now that we know how to access that specific element using the index number, updating it is really simple. Alright, moving down from our previous example in the code, we're going to look at how to quickly change or update an array element value. So, now that we know how to access the array element, we're able to simply change the value when we see fit. So for example, we have this array 10 right here, inferred length, and it only holds integers, of course. We have 1, 2, and 3. If we wanted to update the last element in the array to have a value of 40, we would access it by grabbing position 2 or index 2. Remember, since array indexing starts from 0, and we would simply put it equals to 40, and when we run this print line statement, it'll print out 1, 2, and 40. Super simple. Not hard at all, right? What if I don't have any values to initialize my array with? That's perfectly fine. If you don't have any values in your array at the time of initialization, they're going to be initialized with the default value. For example, if you have an array of numbers, the default value is 0. And if you have a string, the default value is just an empty string. So let's show a quick example of array initialization. So looking at this array 11 right here, you can see that we don't have any values at the time of declaration or initialization, so it's not initialized. So what will happen when we try to print out array 11? Well, we will get all zeros. Like I said before, the default value for ints would be 0, and the default value for a string is just an empty string. You can also partially initialize your array by only having some of the values present. So we can see here, an example of array 12, we only have the first 2 values present. So if we attempt to print out array 12, this is the output. We'll get 1, 2, and the rest will be zeros because those values have not been declared. You can also initialize specific values or specific array element values. So if we wanted to look at array 14, for example, we're seeing that we're declaring an integer array of 5, and we only have 2 values that we want to initialize off top. So you can see here, element at index 1 will have value 10, and element at index 2 will have value 40. So when we print out array 14, we'll have 0, 10, 40, 0, 0. Pretty simple, right? Not too hard. If you want to find the length of an array in Go, Go has a perfect keyword for that. It's called the len keyword. And we'll learn a little bit more about this in the code when we check out this example. Back in the code for our last example of the day. So we have an array that we declared called array 15, and you can see we have an inferred length of type int, and we have 6 values inside of it. Well, if we want to get the length of this, we will simply use the len keyword that Go provides. This is a built-in from Go, and it simply returns the length of the array according to its type. So in this case, it'll print out 6 because our array length is 6. Super helpful. That'll come in later on as we get into more advanced functions with arrays. But for now, really simple, really easy to use. So there you have it, the basics of Go arrays. I hope you guys learned a little bit today that you can use, a little bit down the line when you're coding. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and more videos coming soon. Until next time, peace out, y'all.